Mr. Board Member, join us in Zayas. Go for it. You ready, Andrea?
We are, yeah.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Desert Mountain District Board meeting of January 27th. We're going to go ahead and call this meeting to order at 4:02. Can we go ahead and get roll call, please?
Director Smith,
Here.
Director Rogers,
Here.
Director Corresco, she cannot join us tonight. Director Locke, Secretary Delara,
Here.
Vice President Rodriguez,
Here.
President Raza.
Here. And if you can please join me for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next item is approval of the agenda.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next item is D, public comment. At this time, comments from the audience may be made on items not listed in the agenda that are of public interest and within the subject matter jurisdiction of the district. The board has a policy of limiting speakers to no more than 3 minutes. The board cannot take action on items not listed in the agenda. Public input may be offered on agenda items when they come up for discussion and or action. Do we have any public comment, Andrea?
There are no public comments. Oh, for items not on the agenda, we do. Alan Carbac.
Follow.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Use the podium, please.
Want to use the mic or?
Oh, no, what can you, or unless you'd like one, unless your voice carries.
Probably.
Okay, thank
Although
you.
I'm pretty loud. Thank you. Good evening. My name is Alan Carvalho, a resident of Cathedral City. I'm here to ask one simple but serious question. Why did this board select Anise Smith over the many highly qualified applicants for the seat? Ms. Smith has recently been appointed to the board. What qualifies does Ms. Smith have to have won this coveted appointment? Serious? Was she properly vetted? She's been documented with a criminal history, including commercial burglary and illegal drug possession, for which she served jail time in 2013. While recovery is commendable, accountability and integrity matter, especially for public service. Serious ethical concerns followed. While attending an uncredited law school, Ms. Smith applied for and received a need-based educational grant from the nonprofit Girl Factor, despite owning an $890,000 home in unincorporated Riverside County. When questioned by the media about that home and the grant, she claimed she was not sure if they knew about the home. Later in 2024, she moved to Palm Desert city limits to run for city council while allegedly renting out that same home on Airbnb without the required short-term rental permit, which generated tens of thousands of dollars per month. In January 2023, Ms. Smith was appointed to the Palm Desert Civic Engagement Committee, a position that legally requires city residency. She did not live in Palm Desert at the time. Despite being an attorney, she claimed ignorance of the residency requirement. By August 2023, the city became aware and demanded her resignation. And in 2024, the mayor pro tem publicly stated that Ms. Smith had misled city staff. More troubling questions remain. Media reports and a grand jury indictment show that CVAG's Housing First program entered into a contract as early as 2021 with Coachella and CVAG executive committee member Steve Hernandez, now charged with 5 felonies. Ms. Smith's resume shows she left CVAG's Housing First program as it managed in August 2022 and did not begin her next job until 2023 January. Why the 4-month gap? Was her departure connected to CVAG's awareness of that contract? Might she have been responsible for signing the contract over to Mayor Hernandez? So I ask again, what were the parallels for vetting? How did this appointment get a full unanimous vote? I'm certain there were no Brown Act violations, right? Did this board conduct a thorough and independent vetting of applicants? Or is this appointment predetermined based on personal relationships, maybe the process a little bit more than a dog and pony show? The public deserves transparency, integrity, and answers. And that's what I'm here for. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Anybody else?
Any other public comments for items not listed on the agenda? No.
Thank you, Andrea. So. Right, next item, consent agenda. Do you have any questions from board members? Not, I'll entertain a motion.
Second.
Let's go ahead and do a roll call vote for this, please.
Director Smith? Yes. Director Rogers?
Yes.
Director Delara?
Yes.
Vice President Rodriguez? President Barraza?
Yes. Thank you. Next item, F, strategic grant funding actions. Item number 1, fiscal year 2025-26 grant budget action item. You'll be taking that, Chris?
I've asked Donna Craig to give us an update on this and the history behind it and the committees that this action item has gone to. So, Donna, please.
So this is a kind of a joint staff report between finance and program. And is this on? I don't think so. So what we're asked, what's in front of the board tonight is considerations regarding the fiscal year 25-26 budget and the balance that is left in the budget for fiscal year 2025-26. As you know, the board had approved $5 million for grant awards at the start of the fiscal year, July 1st, 2025. And of all the grants that we've been given out during the last 7 months, $482,945 remain. So we do anticipate having a surplus of over $3 million. That's the overall budget, not the grant budget. And we brought this forward to Finance and Administration Committee with some options as well as Program Committee. And you'll note in we also listed some kinds of different options of what maybe the board would like to do. And you'll notice in the options that were presented and what transpired from them, the Finance and Administration Committee agreed to recommend increasing the grant budget by $1 million. And they also wanted to know what the program committee's established parameters were for the remainder of the fiscal year. And at the January 14th meeting at the program committee, day after, the committee recommended increasing the grant budget by $2 million and establishing a cutoff date to submit any other additional applications and to focus on the high priority applications that have been submitted. So there are also some other, maybe you scroll down a little bit, Andrea. Different options as well that the staff does support establishing a cutoff date for submitting new grant applications and limiting process applications to the high priority goals, which are 2, 3, and 6. And also we are suggesting postponing reviewing all grants that are exceeding $1 million. We do have in the pipeline right now submitted grants over $15 million in grants. Of that, 13 million is 3 separate organizations, and we've been vetting them and realized that those 3 that if they could be put off until after the current fiscal year ends, that we then would review them then. So that is the request, and I don't know if Eric wanted to add anything or Chris, you wanted to add anything.
Yes, if I could, please. So, and I think Donna highlighted here, but I wanted to reinforce, not only are we considering increasing the current annual budget, which is now at 5 million, we have roughly 500,000 remaining. So the considerations that's been recommended by Finance Committee as well as Program Committee is increasing by $1 or $2 million. But we do need to consider, even with those increases, how we, especially with the Program Committee, how we consider which grant applications to consider. We did, as noted here, was considered to do only grants that applied for high priority goals. And we have had recently 2 or 3 grant applications that were brought to the Program Committee and the board that were low priority requests that should we be considering was approved by the board to go through the due diligence process. So do we reconsider those at this point too? So it's something that we need to consider in this discussion and as we approve the grants for the remainder of the year. And also keeping in mind that we are in process of our current 5-year strategic plan. And so in keeping those thoughts there, wanting to continue with grant applications and awards for the remainder of the year, but keeping in mind what our new strategic plan is going to incorporate and, how much we continue to support for the remainder of this year or going into the future years. So just wanted to bring those items to the higher level.
Thank you.
Erin, do you have any?
We're gonna go ahead and go with Greg and then Carol.
Nothing to add, Eric.
Not specific.
Don, I have a question. Did staff recommend a cutoff date?
We entertained the end of February. I believe the program committee kind of bandied that date around as well.
If I can just make a couple comments and then, so my recommendation, I'll follow the program committee's guidance since I sit on that committee, but I would hope that we could allocate the additional 2 million of the budget surplus to the grant application. But I agree that going forward, we should only look at grants that meet the high priority levels. I do like the recommendation not to look at any over $1 million. I don't think we discussed that in the program committee. And then I would go with an end of February cutoff for any new grants. Those are just my thoughts.
I would like the board to check our balance sheet in our investment accounts as of December 31st. We have $76,814. The previous year was 68 million. We made $6,408 million in interest on our investments. I keep asking why we're holding on to all these funds. At one point in time, I was given the reason was because we're holding on to these funds for a building fund in case the lease that we have with tenant is canceled. And that's not the case anymore. We have absolutely no reason to hold on to these investment funds. I think that it's the antithesis of our mission. I don't see any reason to have a cutoff date or any reason to cut off the amount of funds. I think that that is just a sacrilege and irresponsible for this board. And I would ask that the board consider at least increasing the grant funding by the $6 million at least we made in interest funds this past year.
Okay, I participated in the discussion in the finance committee because it was strictly discussion on numbers, budgeting. There was no mention of organizations that would be impacted. Okay, so now after seeing the material, I am going to abstain from this item because of the potential conflict that would be because of the organizations that would be impacted.
Can I get a clarifying answer, Jeff, on, I know you sent us an email that's confidential, but is there the chance that the lease would not go through and we would be stuck with retro fee costs?
No.
Okay.
No, absolutely not. It's a binding enforceable contract. Nothing going on with the validation action would in any way, shape, or form affect the validity of that agreement.
Okay. So then my next question would be either to Chris or Eric is, what is the reasoning behind keeping the reserve that Carol talked about?
There's no limitation or restriction to it. I mean, it's up to the board how you guys want to use that. But again, communicate that we are in the midst of a strategic planning process. And to me, that seems important as we're working through the remainder of this year too. I mean, we knew going into this fiscal year that we were doing strategic planning. And I'm not suggesting, that we limit the funding in any way, but I do think it's strategic in how we do this for the remainder of the year. And I do know organizations, they do put holds on grant funding, especially if they're going through strategic planning processes. So I do think that in the grander scheme of the work that we're doing in defining our new strategic plan, and not only for the next 5 years, but beyond, we have to be good stewards of those resources, the 70+ million and the 650 million coming from the new lease, assuming that that's untouched and unaffected by litigation, as our legal counsel has indicated. I'm only communicating that it should be board deciding strategically, not just on a whim as to what we do with putting the money out there today versus long-term strategy.
Thank you. Can I add one more point? I just asked the board to look at the organizations that have applied for funding from us and that we will be denying them in this fiscal year. And we'll have next fiscal year and in the whole planning process with another long-range plan. But I would like for you to think between now and the end of June in terms of how we serve the public and the nonprofits that we support.
And I'm there with you, Carol. Just. Mics are nicer, but harder to turn on and off. So I'm there with Carol, and it'll be, like what I said during the program committee. I'm not okay with just telling applicants that have already applied within the strategic plan and letting them know, like, now we're doing a new one, so now we're no longer gonna process your applications. And the example that I gave is if you show up to a restaurant and they say that they're gonna serve you up until 10 or that they close at 10 and you show up 15 minutes before and they're like, sorry, we're no longer gonna serve you, come back tomorrow. Like, hey, like if you're telling us. And so I'm okay with maybe a cutoff date. But then I think that we should continue processing these applications. Especially because they already made it. I just don't feel that as an organization, we could just turn around and be like, sorry, come back later. Because they did what we asked them to do. They submitted their application, they're going through the process. It's different thing, right? If we don't have the money for it, but at least we're actually going through the whole process or letting you know, not just disqualifying someone because, hey, we're now engaging or developing a new strategic plan. So it's like telling them you might fit better in our new plan, but I don't think that should be our decision to tell them whether or not we're gonna continue processing because of that reason. I believe that there might be opportunities for them to come back in the future, and if they go through the process, it works. But I think that we have some sort of a duty or obligation to complete this strategic plan. I wouldn't want us to be working on a new 5-year strategic plan and then knowing or learning that the board in 5 years or within a few months, they're like, never mind, we no longer want to use the strategic plan. So I just think that we should respect that we're still within a strategic plan and that's what we're using to process these applications. The recommendation to postpone grants exceeding $1 million, we've all known, we have a grant. So for example, DPMG for 2.4, we have Eisenhower Medical 1.9, Clínicas 5.2, Loma Linda University Children's Hospital 6.1. We've known that these, 2 of these are, more than our 5 million grants. So we've known all along that, even with these grants, they would surpass our budget, our grants budget. So I'm not sure if we are in a position to actually make a determination as a board, and I think that we continue having more conversations or continue our discussions. And so those are my thoughts. I'm not sure. I'd like to see or hear what.
Could I make a motion and see if I get a second to increase our grant budget by $6,408 is the amount of interest that we made in the past year?
Any comments on that? From some of the board members?
As I stated before, I'm gonna abstain from this topic.
Probably ought to just excuse yourself.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
That's true. Denise would like to make a motion.
Discussion.
Was there a second or,
Still no second. No second motion.
okay, all right, so just the motion, but no second. Go ahead.
This came up, I did attend, it's been newer here, the finance meeting, I don't remember that. That was part of the conversation that we had concerning, the interest or increasing it, to that amount. So I would like to hear, from Chris or from Eric, kind of, thoughts as far as that's concerned, because I do agree with you, Carol, that, as far as our mission here is concerned, and these organizations, particularly those that submitted grants that fall within the priorities, should be allowed to have their grant applications move forward and be considered fully for the purposes for which they submitted their grants. And so I am curious about what that would look like, because I don't think it was part of the conversation that we had at that committee meeting.
That's correct. So, I mean, we do have the 75 million roughly that's in an investment account, and the district is able to utilize those resources per the board's direction. We're in a new world and environment right now. I mean, we've traditionally had a $5 million budget, and for some years we haven't met that. So we've carried over the prior remaining year balance. And so we've always tried to utilize the $5 million budget. We're in unprecedented times because we have not had rarely grant requests that have been $4 million, $6 million, $3 million. And so I think, and it's been communicated previously, that with the district receiving these additional resources going forward, we are going to receive pretty sizable requests and probably increased number of grant applicants. So we're in a new world, and we're needing to decide how we address this transition right now. And if it's geared and focused towards our new strategic plan, and I think then the board needs to define, okay, is there a grant limit for each year that you're going to live with? Or are we just going to continue to process whatever grants come in? Because I do believe that grants will probably exceed $20, $30 million a year. And we also have to be good stewards of the resources for not only the next 10, 15, 30 years, but beyond. So I think for fiduciary responsibility of the directors, I think it's prudent to consider, okay, what makes sense now for the short term, and considering coming out of the strategic planning, what kind of a budget do we define? Is it 8 million? Is it 10 million? Is it 20 million? Right now, we have $15 million of grant applications. How is the board going to consider those? Do we consider, keeping looking at those? I mean, per President Barras's suggestion here, it could be $15 million. So even adding $6 million wouldn't cover any of it. So how do we consider who we give grants to, and if there's maximums that we give during this time? And I think we have to look at what do other nonprofit grant funding organizations do? Do they just keep increasing how much they keep giving each year, or do they establish their grant budget and give accordingly?
And I think these are great concerns and things that we should be discussing, right? And I think especially as we're developing a new strategic plan, I think these are all valid questions. At the moment, either do we sit here and start drafting policy to align and make sure that we put in place these securities, or do we base off on what we're doing currently and incorporate these concerns or things to our new strategic plan? And I'm just mentioning this or like recapping as a concern.
Good conversation. We talked about this at the finance committee in depth for a while. I think the biggest points that we brought out of that was, one, we set a budget for the year, and you set a budget to keep yourself within limits. And I think that's an important point for our board as we go forward, is that we put a plan in place and we execute it on the year. Regardless of the outcome of what we have, if more money comes in or not from tax dollars or from other investments, that's great. But we set a plan when we started the year. And that really puts the focus and onus back on us to really think about what it means to have a plan. I don't know why it's making all that scratchy noise.
And I think.
I'm going to finish talking. I was just going to wait for it to stop echoing. But I think the biggest point is that I want us to really focus on what we want to do from the strategic plan in each year, and then go forward and execute on based on that plan. Because not like Congress, where they just don't even pass budgets that make any sense. You can't do it. They just print money. We want to make sure we operate with very good fiduciary responsibility, so that when the state looks in, our constituents look in, they say, hey, they put together a budget, they stuck to it, and they funded it. And we know we have a lot of requests coming in. And I think what we said is, if there's something on here that's going to greatly impact the care within the next 3 to 6 months, which is what's left on our fiscal year, then we approve to say, hey, we'll go up to another, I think we said like $1 million to have there for kind of those funds. But we're going to get a lot of funds at $6 million. But why is Loma Linda coming to us for $6 million? They have never once come to a meeting. They never once engaged. They just know that we have money. So we've got that fiduciary responsibility to set a budget, stick to it, and make sure we allocate that money throughout the year. Because I think Letty said something very important. She goes, had I known these other requests were coming in, through the program committee, we may have funded things differently throughout the year and not done $1 million or $1.5 million grant up front at the beginning of the year, because these are rolling grant applications. So you don't know what's going to come in during your fiscal year. And you have to have planned that way. Or you say, hey, we want to do some bigger things, and maybe those aren't in our normal grant budget.
I may just walk you through this chart a minute, and actually, we had a combination of rolling grants and RFPs. And we had 2 RFPs this year that the board had approved over, each one was for 2 years, over $1 million. And so we had 10 organizations total that were awarded 5 and 5. This chart, the top part is what is in draft form. I mean, they have not submitted it. This is organizations that are just in there playing around, putting numbers in and doing whatever they've not submitted. This last one, we have received submissions on all of them. Our team has vetted most of them. The ones that are over the $1 million, as you know, Eisenhower is on hold, the $2 million, because of the litigation. Intercare, we are working very diligently with them. They are, but through the ACGME, they are not going to be able to make the residency program cutoff that has passed. So we're looking at a start date for the residency program in 2028, but we are working with our consultant, and we're bringing forward 2 Intercare, the latest, and what we're working with them on, and that we're going to be having a workshop for that as well. Loma Linda, $6 million, we don't have their audited financials. So we're waiting on the audit financials, which is a requirement. Once we get the audit financials, we'll do our due diligence. We'll start vetting. We have vetted all of these, and we have done our due diligence. So in the next thing on the agenda is Galilee. They are at a different goal, but we are suggesting that way they can move their goal from the non-priority to a high priority goal too, because they're helping with the mobile health and the health of the asylum seekers. So these are all none of them been declined. I just want to know they're all working. And staff is working very diligently with them as well as with our team internally. So I just wanted to kind of walk you through that. But like as Chris said, you can increase it. You're still going to have,
I'm sorry.
you're still going to have more than you have in the budget.
We have a budget.
Yeah, okay. So, Dr. Dan, I just wanted to bring you up to date in terms of what I had proposed and the motion that I had made. And what I had pointed out to the rest of the board was our balance sheet. And that's in the financial statement.
I know it very well.
And well, the point is that the current $74 million at balance sheet, the reason this board has been given is, and why we've been told that we need to hold on to it, is because we held it in reserves in case the lease agreement failed and we needed funds to operate the hospital. That's no longer the case. This board, this is sitting on $74 million with absolutely no reason. And in the last year alone, our interest that we made on our investments was $6,408,000. And my suggestion was, in order to accommodate, which is our mission, our North Star is to help these kinds of organizations. My motion was to deposit, increase our grant budget by $6,408,000, which is just the interest that we made last year.
Can you confirm the interest rate? I know we make about 2%.
Yeah, about 3 million of that was surplus from last year that was transferred over. So it's not all interest in that case. But I did want to note, as far as the funds, prior to the lease, we did reference it as the facility replacement fund. But back in February, we did take back the policy and to retitle that financial reserve since the lease had gone through. And essentially the policy was revised to get the discretion of the board as far as the utilization of those funds. But I did want to note, Carol or Director Rogers, I'm sorry, to the point about the, potential in the board, or in our board report and utilizing 3 million because that was readily available. The 650 million is talked about a lot, but the key with the 650 million is that is from May 2027 through May 2057. So we won't have a penny of that until May of 2027 when we get the first 100 million. And so it's not all available just yet. So the reserve fund that we do have is there for what comes up between now and the receipt of those funds. So if we do utilize a lot of it, I mean, right now, if you're looking at 20 million potentially here, 3 million comes from the surplus, and then another 17 million possibly comes from that reserve. What else could come up that we may need those funds for between now and the time we receive those? And so that was the basis of why the report was drafted on kind of the more conservative side of a recommendation for your process here.
Thank you. So we have a motion. We don't, we're here a second.
It's not the first time I've been a troublemaker on this board.
Would you like to modify your motion or anyone? Create a substitute
Any suggestions?
motion?
I withdraw my motion due to lack of assent.
Withdrawn? Any additional comments? Any?
I'm gonna write a letter to the editor though.
I get where you're coming from, Carol, but, so then the finance committee recommended 1 million.
Good.
And then program committee recommended 2 million.
Correct. I think our point was, we set a budget. I think it's really a slippery slope because we're gonna have a lot.
Agree.
You're gonna have a lot of money. Trust me, I wanna do very good stuff with this, but I really wanna get through strategic plan. I think we owe it to the people we represent to make sure that we've got a very good plan in place. Cause I think we know that people are gonna request money and we wanna help them out. We wanna do very good projects, but you can very quickly just become a pass-through entity, meaning You take the money and you hand it over here. And I think our strategic plan is pointing out that maybe we want to play more of a role than just kind of a delegator of finances. And I think it's very important for us to set the budget, stick to it. It's very hard to live on a budget. We all know that's why credit cards are a dangerous thing, because you can live outside of your means. And if next year we want to request to go up, then we go up, and that's okay. But we set the plan at the beginning. And I think from the finance committee, we said, look, we also are in the position to help people. It's a very tough time on everybody right now. Healthcare costs are expensive. There's a lot of unmet needs. If things are coming up that have to be funded, we said, hey, we want to make sure we support that. Some of these are big grants that I think got pointed out. Not everything has been submitted yet. So none of these are emergent yet. But like we met the food bank need right away. She came in and was like, hey, we got a need for food. We need $500,000. And we funded that thing right away, you know, and it all went towards food. And I think I want to make sure we have extra funds available for that. And that's what came out of the finance committee, was that kind of a conversation.
We do. Maybe it's school.
We did mention a couple of things, maybe anyway, keep them. That, to either, you know, keep the 500,000 there toward the applications that fall within the high priority. We also did say, in case there's the third bullet, if there's any fallout from federal funding, we have something in reserve to be able to do like emergency funding and that type of thing.
That's a big possibility.
Right. And then we also put in there other, you know, can you go back up? No, the other way.
Now.
Down, sorry. Going. We did just stop. So in researching the various options, we did want to just kind of some concepts to, you know, to avoid that use it or lose it awards with weak alignment to our mission and our vision, you know, last minute submissions, which are outside of our strategic priorities. You know, and keeping what Dan was saying, staying within the budget, you know, funding requests which would create ongoing obligations without sustainability and a deviation from our adopted grant policies. I mean, the board approved all these grant policies and we have been deviating from them quite a bit. So I wanted to support that.
That's good.
To a point, I think, Chris, you were making earlier as far as how, you know, typically when in considering grant applications and whatnot, there isn't, like, for example, if we apply for grants from the county, you know, like the budget is the budget. The amount that's available is the amount that's available. So I do wonder, even from the standpoint of what grants you're saying are being considered now, you're working with them, most of the items have probably been submitted, but just because an organization is asking for a certain amount doesn't mean that that's what you're even going to recommend that they get. So it kind of seems like we don't even have an idea necessarily of where we would land with this, because we could look at that and say, well, you know, whatever amount, 500,000 is being asked for, but we think that it could be done with 100,000. And so now I'm kind of wondering, as far as you all's recommendation, where some of this stands with these grants, because to that point, even if we had an extra 7 million, if every single grant application was funded to the, you know, it was approved for the full amount, it still wouldn't be enough.
Correct.
And I still wonder, even then, do we want to do that? Because of course, when you write grants, you ask for, you know, everything, you know, that you want. You know, it's a wish list, and you don't always get everything that you ask for. That's just how it works, right? When you're submitting for grants, you might get lower than what you asked for in the first place. So I do wonder what would even be the recommendations here based off the amounts being asked for, and maybe not an answer for right now, but just to consider as we're talking about numbers, you know, what number are we actually even talking about from this group that you're looking at that fall within the priorities?
Give you some idea what you wanted, but.
May I? With this discussion, it's kind of bringing to mind for me is maybe it's not an exact number that we're looking at right now, whether it's 1 million or 2 million. Maybe we are needing to need to scrutinize the actual grant applications more right now in the next few months till June to determine what is urgently needed. What is not only priority goals, but what is more urgently needed? Are grants that are being applied for, are they something that could be paused for a few months until we finalize our new strategic plan? And I think that's part of the job and the duty of the directors that are on the program committee. And then we can just evaluate that, okay, we're going to vet the grants at the program committee. And directors and staff really need to be focused on, okay, what is urgently needed presently? And then consider those. And if we need to fund beyond 500,000, we do. But trying to stay close to what we've had budgeted for the year. Just offering that as a potential middle ground on this consideration.
I think you have to put a number to it because you need constraints. I like what you're saying is like, let's just be very judicial about it. But I think, you know, if you put a number to it, it really helps you to stay very focused on what we're going to fund and what we're not. I think, you know, if you give them $1 million over the next 6 months, that's 20% increase in our budget. If you talk about it in terms of percentages, that's a lot. And so I think somewhere in there's a number that lets the program committee stay focused. Because I think had they said, hey, we've only got 5 million and we need to allocate it for the whole year, you would have, some of the grants that were not urgent, you would have said, hey, you know, we may fund this in 6 months if nothing else comes in, but we need to make sure that we're meeting the needs of the community. Because I'm concerned, you know, we've got a really good opportunity that was set up for us many years ago when somebody built the hospital, that we make sure we invest this money. So Carol's point, can we just live off the interest? Yeah. If we do this right, you're going to have a huge surplus of funds annually that isn't even generated by collecting new revenues. You're going to be able to create something that lives on in perpetuity past 2050, which is really what I think our strategic plan is starting to talk about, is how do we do that? Because we want to give away and support our community as much as possible because we know we can have a big impact. But if we do too much now, in 30 years from now, they're not going to be able to do anything. They may not have anything left. And so I think we really have to look through that lens of a very long-term perspective. Like what we're doing now, we may not even be around to see it. But if we set the groundwork right, it's good. And I think the first groundwork is sticking to your budget. So the committee, so the people after said, hey, back in 2026, they increased the budget, no problem. We set a precedent that allows them to do something. And they say, well, they've done it before, so let's just do it again. So I think we really have to understand what we're doing now is going to dictate things that they may do in the future.
Like to make a motion? I'd like.
I think I turned it off. Sorry.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the program committee's recommendations, which are, if you would move the screen up, please. Increasing the fiscal year grant budget by 2 million, establishing a cutoff date, and focus on high priority applications.
Carol, I would like to see if you would consider amending your motion. So I'm thinking instead of 2, we do 3, since that was a surplus, and so that we can use it within this strategic plan. Cutoff
Yes.
date,
Yes,
we've been talking about February 1st, which is 3 days from now. How about we try to find a date 15 to 30 days from this meeting?
like March 1st.
That would work. Focus on high priorities, because that's what we've been doing for the past 2 years of this strategic plan. And then also no postponement of the 1 million request. I think I would like to see those continue through the process. And then when they come up, if they end up coming up for board consideration, then at that moment we determine whether or not that's something that we would, as a board, fund. So those would be my recommendations.
I accept your amendments.
Could we restate it just for the record so that there's no confusion as to what the
I think Kimberly.
Restate.
Probably
Yeah,
restate it.
Kimberly will restate it.
So 3 million.
Yours, Kimberly Maple.
So to increase the budget, instead of 3 million, and then the cutoff date, we had mentioned a February 1st date instead of doing February 1st, which is for a few days from now. We could do either like the 15th or March 1st.
I would say March 1st.
Carol's motion, March 1st, and then focus on high priorities, and then declining
staff recommendation to postpone, applications exceeding 1 million. So
Need a
that's-
second,
Carol, made the motion, Greg seconded.
okay?
Then go ahead and open for public comment on the item, please.
Yes.
May I clarify on that? Does the high priority component, does that mean those that are in process that were recommended in prior months as far as doing the due diligence? So we are considering those as low priority now, and we will not consider those going forward. Is that understanding?
My only thing would be that through some of the due diligence, some of those priorities might have qualified within the high priorities. So whatever due diligence is being done, I would recommend that we continue.
So we continue the process as is, but as a board, we know that we're gonna be focusing on the high priorities for funding, not in the process.
When we do the due diligence, they do have the opportunity to resubmit, or send a revised application, so we have been working with the applicants on that as well.
And Donna, just clarification, on the top line, those are ones that have expressed an interest but have not.
It's working in the grant software system, but they have not been submitted. So those amounts can change. Some people withdraw them, they just abandon them, so it's.
Okay, so really the focus would be on the bottom tiered ones that are.
Yes.
Yeah. I'll maintain my second.
And I get a little bit of clarification when you said you wanted to decline holding off on the ones that are over 1 million, because we would be still continuing our due diligence with that. Like I said, with Intercare, we're working still very closely with them on that. The Loma Linda, I mentioned we haven't received their audited financials yet, but there's also some other legal concerns that we may have, like regarding non-compete, that kind of thing. So, and the other one, of course, is on hold until we get the validation of the non-compete clause. So we're still continuing.
And that, I think that's our intention, is to continue that due diligence.
Okay.
So.
But it might not happen until, if we go through the due diligence, it might not happen until the next
Right.
fiscal year for funding.
I understand that. Okay, you said that there's no public comment on this item? That will be the continuing.
I'll comment. You said board comments, right?
Board comments, then we probably
Should make a motion on board comment. Again, I'm all for doing this, but we're increasing our budget by 60% in a year. Let's start small. If there's more that comes in, make a second request. We have a program committee that said 2 million. Finance committee said 1 million, and now we're at 3. We have no committee recommendations or staff recommendations on the record to do this. I just want to make sure we're being very fiscally responsible. We're not trying to hold the money in close, but approve 1 million or something like that. Let's see how it goes before we go out and say, let's just do 3. We have no recommendation yet to do that. We got to be careful not to look reckless in how we're spending this money. Is there any issue with approving what came out and then saying, hey, if we need more, make another recommendation? The board's been very open to those changes. I just want to make it look very consistent across what's been discussed at all of the committee members' meetings and the staff recommendation. So I would recommend a different proposal rather than just the full 3 million. That's a 60% increase in our current budget.
So then we have a motion and a second, so we either we can vote, or if the person that made the motion would like to amend the motion and then approve. So if there's no amendments.
Let's vote, and then if it fails.
Public.
Yeah, might I suggest at least to get public comment before the vote? So,
That's the comment. Any?
Is there any public comments? There aren't any hands raised on the.
Seeing none, we're gonna go ahead and do a roll call vote, please.
And everybody understood the motion, correct? Director Smith? Yes. Director Rogers?
Yes.
Director Logston?
No.
Director Delora is not here. She abstained. Vice President Rodriguez?
Yes.
President Barraza?
Yes,
And the motion passed.
thank you.
Please. So as we go on, the next item is grant number 1569, Galilee Center Bridge to Health and Housing. The amount of $556,803 for a 2-year term. Jeff?
We wanted to wait until we went through the grant budget before discussing this with you guys. They originally have come in, I think, as you can see, for $500 some thousand over 2 years. And they had chosen goal 5, 7 and 5 and 7. We reviewed it internally and we would like to go back to continue our due diligence with them, but if it can meet the high priority goal of moving it to goal 2, access to healthcare, and goal 3, access to behavioral healthcare, which would be working with them on their deliverables 3 and 4. And that would put them in the high priority goals, as well as most likely they would be reducing the grant request amount as well to meet those 2 goals. 2 deliverables.
Thank you.
So it's more just asking to continue for the to, I know you actually had, and program committee voted to move this request to the board for us to continue with our internal grant process and work with the applicant to amend the application.
And so no action on this, is just direction. How many comments from the board? We in agreement to continue doing due diligence on this grant? Any questions from staff? No. Okay, on the direction? Okay. Okay, thank you.
So did we agree to follow staff direction?
To continue due diligence.
Thank you. So
Thank
next
you.
item G, reports. Item number 1, I apologize. Any public comment on this item?
No public comment.
Thank you, Chris, for the reminder. G, reports. G1, Desert Regional Medical Center, CEO report, Mike Totoro, welcome.
Mike? Mike, do you want a mic?
Do I need one?
No.
They want to hear you online. Okay. It's so hot. Mike.
All right, the full report is in the packet. I just wanted to highlight the end of our ACA enrollment initiative. We did a lot of work. We reached out to 16,000 patients, participated in a lot of events. Thank you to the team. Thanks for partnering with the district. I don't think we got the full ultimate impact that we wanted, but nevertheless, we made a lot of effort and did help some people make the right decisions for them so they could continue coverage here in 2026. We did hire last year, and I hadn't brought it to the board yet, a new director of clinical and quality improvement. Her name's Mary Sue McCaslam. She has a lot of extensive experience in quality in large organizations. So we're very excited that she's part of the team. And an update to this group that Michelle Finney, the previous CEO at Desert Regional, is now serving as the interim CEO at San Gorgonio Memorial Hospital. Tenet has entered into a management agreement with that facility. Different than the lease structure here. They are still, all the employees of the hospital are still district employees. The district, San Gorgonio Memorial Healthcare District, still is responsible for the financials for the facility, but Tenet is helping to manage that hospital. So that's some things I wanted to highlight. Questions?
Any
question?
If we can go ahead and open that, we'll open for public comments or questions. Actually,
Can I have the board members comment first, followed by public comment? Thanks. Okay, Mike, it's good to see you. So I was reminded I think at our last board meeting by our council that that I am in line with being able to ask about JFK Hospital on improvement. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Are the projects, the emergency room at JFK, is it on schedule? Is there anything you could share on that?
It is still very much in the design phase. And, right now they're working on land that they need to acquire for this project. So it is underway. I don't have a full update for you on that, and I can get that. With regards to seismic, we've met the deadlines for submission for those projects. That's now with HCI for this year that they're reviewing.
Okay, so my question is it on schedule? Did you anticipate this delay of being able in the planning process? Is it on schedule as you had expected it to be?
The design phase is on plan. I mean, yes,
Okay, thank you.
that is on schedule. Yes.
Thank you. Any other comments from the board, questions? We're gonna go ahead and open for public comment on this item.
So, Mr. Torre, you should probably take a seat so that, Mr. Kaufman can come to the podium. For public comment.
This.
Thank you.
Please introduce yourself.
My name is Ezra Kaufman. I am a district resident, and I had a question about the home office shared service costs that the hospital is assigned by tenant at from its headquarters in Texas. In 2023, Desert Regional paid $22.9 million in home office shared service costs. In 2024, it was $36.5 million. In 2025, it was just reported as $43.9 million. That's a 91, almost a 92% increase over 2 years. At John F. Kennedy, it went from 5.2 million to 8.1 million to 10.3 million. That's a 98% increase over 2 years. And let's see, at High Desert, it went from 3 million to 4.8 million to 6.1 million. 102% increase over 2 years. I'm just wondering if that's all we can expect. Hospitals in Florida that you operate, Tenet Healthcare operates, or far worse. Let me see. Good Samaritan Hospital went from 9.1 million to 25.7 million to 28.9 million. That's 215% over 2 years. St. Mary's Medical Center, I think that's in Boca Raton, $16.9 million to $54.4 million to $63.1 million, 272%. I'm just wondering, is there's going to be some sort of limit as to how much overhead is going to be assigned to this local hospital? Thanks.
Thank you for your comment. Alrighty, our next item is G2, District Regional Medical Center Governing Board.
In the packet, right? Nothing.
Okay.
Pretty much what Mike said.
So what Mike said. Great on that. Any questions on that?
No.
Okay. Any public comments on that item? Thank you. Alrighty, next. G3, Desert Healthcare District CEO report, Chris.
Thank you, President Barraza. The first item on the on the agenda is the 2026 board committee assignments, just for information purposes. Essentially, the committee assignments remain the same as last year for existing directors, and then a newly appointed Director Smith has been appointed to fill in where Director Shore was in the F&A committee, as well as the Hospital Lease Oversight Committee. That's information only. Any comments? If not, we'll move on to item B, which is just an update on our strategic planning for the community listening sessions that are coming up in February. As you're aware, and a lot of the public is aware, that we have 7 community listening sessions planned that our consulting firm Sowen is going to conduct, and this is the schedule of all 7 of those committed listening sessions, and we've been doing extensive outreach to be able to reach out to our community residents. Very extensive outreach program, including attending city council meetings. I attended 2 last week, one at Desert Hot Springs, one at Indio, and we do have a couple of scheduled tomorrow night. Director Rodriguez is going to attend the Palm Springs City Council meeting, and I'll attend the City of Coachella City Council meeting. And they do seem interested when they hear our communication, and we also are reaching out to their PIOs to be able to distribute through their city's social media communication. So we're hoping for a good turnout at those sessions. We do have some issues and concerns related to some of the ice raids that have been occurring in the East Valley and could impact some of our virtual planning that we had hoped for in one of the mobile home parks out there. We're going to cancel that and do more of a survey outreach. But we do plan to continue on with our in-person venues that we have. Any questions or concerns from the board?
First of all, I want to say thank you, Chris, for your leadership and staff's work on this. Besides mentioning the cities that you're doing the outreach, you've also done outreach into the unincorporated communities throughout the Coachella Valley. So I'm really pleased by that. The additional media that Will has been doing has been fantastic. So I appreciate that. You mentioned some of the efforts that you were hoping to go and that unfortunately were not able to do. But in absence of that, maybe what we could do is we could just do outreach and get comments from people. And we could just, maybe just do a quick survey, like what are the top things that you are concerned about? And we can, consider those, review them as we're doing our process. Something to ensure that we are still getting some input from the communities that may not feel as comfortable in participating in some of these sessions.
And that's exactly what we're doing. We met with someone on Monday and we have developed a survey that we can distribute utilizing our community partners, our promotoras, et cetera, to outreach to the residents that unfortunately may feel insecure about going out in public to attend our public meetings. So we do feel we have a good set of questions to be able to obtain information from those kinds of residents.
I forgot to say thank you for covering me on tomorrow night's meeting. I would be there, but unfortunately I have a family obligation that I will be, I guess they will disassociate themselves if I don't go to this family thing.
No, and appreciate that, and we will accommodate those meetings. And per President Barraza's request from last workshop, that I invite the zone representative on the board to attend those city council meetings. So at any point when you're able to do that, like Director Rodriguez, that's certainly welcome and appreciated.
And I plan to attend the February 4th City Council.
Thank you, in Desert Hot Springs. So I attended the one last week, and then we do have one scheduled next week. It's just that next week is going to be a heavy, busy week with the start of our scheduled meetings. So appreciate you attending next week as a reminder as well. And I think Desert Hot Springs is scheduled on Saturday the 7th, so that'll be timely as well. Any other comments? All right, any public comments? Okay, moving on to the next item, item C, 2026 Social Determinants of Health Summit. I'm going to allow Alejandro to take over this agenda item and give us an update from the committee work that we've been doing for this year's summit.
Just a quick update on the Healthy Desert, Healthy You Summit. Initially, when we started the summit planning a couple of years ago, we didn't want to label it as the Environmental Health Summit. So then we would have options to kind of have different topics of conversation. So we, named our summit the Healthy Desert, Healthy You. And in conversation with our first planning committee, that's comprised of staff, we decided to shift away a little bit from environmental health, environmental justice, and focus on things that are currently in discussion with our new strategic plan, which are the social determinants of health. So this year, we are gonna shift a little bit from environmental health and focus on 4 key items under social determinants of health, which are housing, economic stability and workforce, behavioral health, and access to health. Some of the topics that you see on there, those are just preliminary. They might change as further meetings with our committee members evolve. So for us, it's very exciting that we're gonna be switching up the topic. Maybe next year we'll come back to environmental health. We don't want to present the same thing over and over, especially if there's not a lot of movement on the environmental health, environmental justice front. But we know there is a lot of things happening within these 4 items that we have presented to you. So we're very happy to present to you that this year we'll be shifting a little bit away from environmental health and focus a little bit on things that are impacting our community at the present.
Any comments from the board?
I'll just add, Alejandro, if you need help like with the housing portion, please reach out.
You're on our list already.
Okay,
Greg.
awesome.
Alrighty, so I like this idea and I like the fact that we are keeping like that same for like branding purposes, the same like title of the event, and then that we're changing the topics. And I could even see this as being something that we can do like several years, right? Because I mean, housing, economic stability, behavioral health, access to health, like having those as like subcategories. And even eventually like environment, even if we add a little element on the environment or if we change, but I think it's a cool, pretty cool like framework to be working on as we develop this next year's event or this year's event. Okay, any public comment? No, okay, we can go ahead and move forward.
Okay, next item on the agenda is just an update on the Palo Verde Healthcare District and the hospital situation there. There has been some activity in the recent week or so, and even as recent as today. And so there is a report in the packet that kind of gives you an update as of last Thursday. But as of the last couple of days, last evening at the Palo Verde Healthcare District's board meeting, they did approve. So what's going on at this point is the County of Riverside is offering a $1 million loan to the hospital to operate the healthcare or the emergency department of the hospital, and also proposing to implement a strike force for a 6-month period with a management services agreement that has still yet to be negotiated and approved. But as of today, the Board of Supervisors has approved the loan of $1 million, as well as working to negotiate that management services agreement. So it does look like there's some reprieve for at least a 6-month period, and with hope of the strike force being able to determine if there's ways to move forward. So that's a exciting piece of information right now, and we're hopeful that things will continue, that something long-term will work out with that situation.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that report. I just want to say publicly that I really appreciate the Board of Supervisors stepping forward to take the lead on this, and especially Supervisor Perez through his leadership and his efforts to be able to involve the county. I know it's difficult for them to take this on. It's a very difficult problem, but they saw the reasoning for having to do it and they stepped forward. So I appreciate all of their efforts.
Thank you. Open for public comment on the item.
I also wanted to thank Linda Evans for kind of keeping me in the loop, because I wasn't able to attend either last night's or this morning's meeting. So thank you, Linda. Okay, next item on the agenda is an update on the Coachella Valley Equity Collaborative, the annual picnic posada that was encountered and endured and enjoyed earlier this month. So I'll let Alejandro give us an update and a little bit video presentation on that.
So as you all know, we started the Coachella Valley Equity Collaborative at the onset of COVID-19, where we brought together community-based organizations, different government entities under one roof to guide some of our work that we did in response to COVID-19, setting up mobile vaccination clinics, testing clinics throughout. At the heart of that were promotoras that were out there knocking on doors, putting their life at risk initially with the onset of COVID. And we continued beyond COVID. We thought that these 25 plus entities that meet monthly have something to give to us and provide insight into what is happening in the community, because they interact with the community on a daily basis. So I always tell the promotoras that there are eyes and ears out in the community, because they bring topics to us that are happening out in the community, like the ICE raids, things that are happening that are impacting our district residents at the present moment. So with that, we decided to keep the collaborative going. Now we meet monthly. Before we would meet every other week. And we have presenters that come in and present to the collaborative. We had SOEN do a presentation. We have different government entities come in and provide presentations to the collaborative members, and they're also able to share what's happening with their own organization, events, things that we could support each other in. So it's very nice to kind of take a break from doing all the work that impacts them. And some of them share really heartbreaking stories of how they're internalizing a lot of the issues that they are, that they're receiving, and that they have the privilege to hear our community share it with them. So for us, it was a time to take a break from all of that and celebrate them. It was a potluck. We had phenomenal food. And the district did provide some funds to purchase some items for the opportunity drawings that the promotoras are always very excited about. And thank you to President Barraza for attending. Also Director De Lara and our CEO, Chris, for attending and talking to our collaborative members. And we have a couple of pictures and a video of some of the games and some of the activities that we did that day. So just wanted to share that with you, and thank you all for the support. And the promotoras are very, very ecstatic, and they look forward to this event every single year. So it's a fun game.
Fun party.
Thanks, Sergio, for putting together the little reel, and thank you for putting that together.
Our internal IT person. All right, thank you for that. It was a fun time. It brings smiles to everybody's face there, and certainly mine. So thank you, Alejandro and Sergio and the team that works with our community-based partners. So if there's no comments on that, we'll move on to item F, which is the CEO engagements and district media visibility. The report is in the packet if you have any questions. December was kind of a light month with holidays and all the activities going on related to that. So I'll turn it back to you. If there's no public comments, I'll turn it back to you, President Barraza, please.
So open for public comment on these items?
No.
Okay, thank you. Next item for legal, Jeff.
So I know you're all anxious to hear my report. We got a new provision in the Brown Act that requires that we give you the copy of the Brown Act. So thought there'd be no better way than to put it in the packet. And I know that if you get insomnia or anything, you should take the time to start reading it. And it's always good to read the Brown Act. The other thing was we were kind of waiting for SB 707 the final language to come out. We saw that and, you know, one of the things, there was a bunch of new provisions in their requirements that agencies had to follow, and it turns out that, you know, it was really directed when they finally got down to the final drafts of the bill that it's really directed at cities and counties and huge special districts and not special districts the size of desert. So just wanted to bring that to your attention. And other than that, I don't have anything else, and happy to answer any questions.
Any more comments?
I understand that a lot of these things don't apply to us, but I thought the one thing that did apply was just the making the temporary provisions from COVID permanent, the just cause. Is that something that?
Yeah, no, those provisions are different than the other provisions, but those will still apply, and we'll make sure we remind you of that periodically. So we're basically the provisions that we had that gave board members a little more flexibility on meeting the requirements to virtually attend meetings. So, yes.
Thank you. Any other board member comments, questions? Okay, we'll open for public comment.
Whoops, go ahead with public comment.
No.
I just wanted to comment too, that of the items that were in the SB 707, had our district needed to comply, we're already complying with the majority of those items, just so the board and the public are aware of that. So if we were to be required to comply, we're 99% there, so.
Thank you. Okay, so next item, H, sponsorships, and these are action items. So the first one, November, December 2025 sponsorship recognition letters. Well, this one's information.
Yeah, so we have letters that we received from sponsors or organizations that the district had sponsored. So essentially, thank you letters acknowledging the receipt of those sponsorship funds. So informational purpose.
There was an impact report that was provided from the Heart Health AHA.
Okay, great. Thank you. I wasn't realizing we had that. So super. So impact report from one of the organizations. So so you can see some of the events that our sponsorship monies supported. So we were for the Lifestyle Award, Desert Healthcare District and Foundation. So very instrumental in their heart disease and stroke programs. So
Any questions from the board? Comments? No? Any public comments?
No.
All right, next item.
next item is and all of these sponsorship requests did go through the program committee and were vetted during the program committee, and the sponsorship amounts are the recommended amounts that came from the program committee to the board. And so the first one is with the Angel Light Academy 27th Annual Youth Leadership Conference, which actually transpired on the 24th and 25th. They did submit that request kind of late in the process, but we felt it was important to go ahead and bring that through our review and consideration process. And I don't know if we have anybody from that organization. They were considering being here that.
I think a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a first, a second. Any board comments? No? Okay. We'll open for public comment on the item.
No public comments.
Okay, then we'll go ahead and do a roll call.
Director Smith? Yes. Director Rogers?
Yes.
Director Lofton?
Yes.
Director Delara?
Yes.
Vice President Rodriguez?
Yes.
President Barraza?
Yes.
Next item.
Next item is a $3,000 spotlight sponsor for Variety of the Children's Charity of the Desert Women of Wonder 2026 Gala, which will be February 6th.
Move approval.
Second.
Any board comments? No? Public comment?
No public comments.
Roll call, please.
Director Smith,
Yes.
Director Rogers.
Yes.
Director Logston.
Yes.
Director Talara.
Yes.
Vice President Rodriguez.
Yes.
President Barraza.
Yes. Next item.
Next item is a $3,000 Bronze Heart sponsorship for Loma Linda University for their Big Hearts for Little Hearts Desert Guild 24th Anniversary Gala. And that is on February 11th and recommending approval.
Make a motion to approve. Second.
Any board member comments?
Okay, I was just, I'm glad that we are looking to support it. I would have just liked to have had a higher amount, Silver Heart sponsor, something a little bit higher, but.
They only ask for bronze though, right? They only ask for bronze.
And
Okay.
Because we talked about that too.
Okay. Public comment?
No public comments.
Okay, then we'll go ahead and do a roll call vote.
Director Smith,
Yes.
Director Rogers. Director Logston.
Yes.
Director Talara.
Yes.
Vice President Rodriguez.
Yes.
President Barraza.
Yes. Thank you. Next item.
next item is the supporting sponsor request of $12,500 for the 2026 Steve Chase Humanitarian Awards put on by DAT Health. And the committee recommended sponsorship for $12,500. I only wanted to point out is that this is for 10, I mean, as part of the sponsorship, there's 10 seats or tickets that are offered to the district. I did want to point out that in prior years, we've also purchased additional tickets. So just for your thoughts and consideration, if you wanted to consider a higher sponsorship amount, the next one higher than that is 15,000, which provides 12 tickets. 25,000 would be 2 preferred tables of 10 people each. So just that information for your consideration. But the committee did recommend approval at the 12,500 level.
Or you want to send additional people, it's just 500 per ticket.
I'm just wondering at the committee, was there consideration for the higher amount?
DAP had recommended or requested 25,000.
The committee members, did they consider a higher amount?
No, so they came in at 25,000. We basically are going in at the level that we went in last year. We just thought 25,000 was too big of an ask. Yeah, I mean, I'm totally in favor of this organization like there's no tomorrow. I used to sit on their board, but we did have the discussion, so.
So despite your obvious bias towards it, I'm gonna recommend, I will move approval of the 15,000 letter.
I'll second that.
Yeah, and my suggestion is if there are more staff members that want to attend, that we just simply purchase the tickets.
Any other?
Or board members.
Any other comments?
I mean, I'm all for supporting organizations if we want to buy more tickets. We got a recommendation from the program committee. Everybody here was there. We approved 12,500. Why didn't you just approve the 15,000 when you're in the meeting if that's what we want to do? I'm okay with it. I just don't know. I don't go to all those meetings, so I take those recommendations significant from the program committee. And so if that's what they approved, that's what I would normally approve, unless for some reason all of staff wants to go and we want to do that as some type of sponsorship. We either buy the tickets like you mentioned, or next time we go to the program committee, we just say, hey, we should do the 25,000 like they requested, so we have the 20 tickets. So I'm just going off of that. I would prefer to stick with what they recommended and then buy additional tickets if necessary.
Thank you for those comments for clarification. Director Delara is not in the program committee, so she's the one that made the motion with a different amount. Yeah.
So she made the motion, there's a second. Any other comments? No public comments?
No public comments.
Okay, we'll go ahead and take a roll call vote, please.
Director Smith,
Yes.
Director Rogers.
Yes.
Director Logston,
No.
Director Delara. Yes. Vice President Rodriguez.
Yes.
President Barraza.
Yes. Thank you. Next item?
Item 6 is a $6,000 alumni sponsor for the JFK Memorial Foundation's Ophelia Project luncheon, which the district has sponsored in prior years. The event is to be held March 16th of 2026. Recommending approval.
Question, comment?
I'll move approval.
Second.
Any board member comments?
Public comment? Roll call, please.
Director Smith,
Yes.
Director Rogers,
Yes.
Director Logston,
Yes.
Director Delara. Yes. Vice President Rodriguez.
Yeah.
President Barraza.
Yes. Thank you. Next item?
Item 7 is a $15,000 visionary sponsorship with the Greater Coachella Valley Chamber of Commerce. This one's a little bit different where Will has been working with the Chamber of Commerce in establishing opportunity where we can do, we can pick and choose from a list of events that the chamber sponsors. And will be the organization, the Desert Healthcare District will be promoted heavily at those organizations. So we can pick those organizations, events throughout the year and be representative and more like a marketing component with this sponsorship request.
I'll move approval.
Second.
I just wanted to comment and emphasize too, is that we had a lot of discussion within the program committee about the real impact this will have in a marketing sense. So that really, as we've all talked about, is getting our name out. It's a really most of their events are very, very well attended by a wide array of people, from elected officials to business leaders and on down. So we really looked at it more in that marketing lens.
You believe we.
So would this level, would this allow us to be featured like some of the major, like when I've attended this in the past, I have been really impressed of the ones that get featured, not just listed their logos, but that there's like a little video of
They'll even go up.
yeah, like Desert Network.
Yeah, so if you,
Desert Network, I'm sorry. They did a great marketing last time, and so, yeah, I really like that.
you'll see here, there's a listing. This schedule's a little bit outdated, but it gives an idea of kind of the pick and choose lists that we can select from, and we can choose the sponsoring level and how they promote us at those events.
Any other questions? Did I hear a motion?
I did.
We have a second?
I second.
Okay, perfect. Public comment?
Vinny, no.
I see someone has the.
Oh, we do see your hand, okay.
It's been up for a little while.
Sorry. Oh. Hi, Abigail, my apologies, I didn't see your hand.
That's okay. Why don't you go ahead and finish this motion and vote, and then I can comment after if that makes more sense.
with Angel
So
Light
don't
Account.
interrupt.
Oh,
Okay, thank you.
alrighty, roll call?
Sure.
Director Smith,
Yes.
Director Rogers,
Yes.
Director Logston,
Yes.
Director Delara,
Yes.
Vice President Rodriguez.
Yes.
President Barraza.
Yes. Abigail, got 3 minutes for public comment.
Okay, well, thank you. I just wanted to say that we appreciate it. I was planning to comment about our conference having happened last weekend. There is in our submission a clarification that our orientation for the coming year of leadership training with the youth who attended the conference actually happens on the 14th of February. And I sent Andrea a little news clip. KMIR came out, and we'll be doing another clip at that February 14th event. So we'd be happy to make mention of your support. We do cover a lot of mental health items in the 2-day conference. And I was looking over the summit and noticed that we would be more than happy to, participate if that's something that's part of the summit in terms of the youth mental health on the behavioral health section and those culturally grounded behavioral health approaches. That's a big part of our curriculum. So just wanted to throw that out there and say thank you to Andrea and Alejandro. You guys were both really helpful in us getting to this point, and we appreciate your support.
Thank you, Abigail.
All right, next, item I, committee meetings. Warren Hospital Lease Oversight Committee.
The minutes are in your. The minutes of the meeting are in your board packet along with the inspection schedule. We did have a reinspection of the Sturgis building. We went through the basement reinspection and the Sinatra Tower inspection. Are there any questions?
Did everything look okay?
Yeah,
Great.
really good. Yeah.
Perfect. Any public comments?
No public comment.
All right, thank you. Next, finance, legal and administration and real estate.
Good. Meeting minutes are attached. We've already brought up the balance sheet. I'm glad you guys are looking over.
You're doing work, not just the board.
Sounds like they're doing work right here.
I mean, I told them,
The DPMG lease is here. I would say the team's done a really good job keeping it.
Landlord's coming. Can't make this stuff up.
Oh. It's very important to say too. No, we're fully leased. We've got another tenant from DPMG. The lease is there. It's informational if you're interested, but just again, good work by our team just to keep our building at 100% lease occupancy. And we've got our rates at a very appropriate level that supports the businesses that are going there, but also again, makes the Desert Healthcare Board very successful as a landlord.
And if I may as well, adding on to that, Director Logston, this additional lease that we're doing with DPMG Health, I think is very, very important and critical to our strategic plan related to access to primary care services. So the tenant that was in this space is retiring, going out of business essentially, and they had a pediatric care service that they serviced significant numbers of IEHP and Desert Oasis patients. So without that continued service, we would, be losing a lot of coverage to our pediatrics patients and residents in the community. So we appreciate the support of the board and the committee to allow us to continue forward with this.
Thank you. Any board member comments? No, public comments?
none.
All right, thank you. Next is Legislative Policy Committee. Meeting minutes and other attachments are there. Do you have any questions? I'd be happy to answer any question. No, any public comments?
No public comments.
All right, thank you. Up next, item 4, Program Committee. Chair for the committee is not here, but I might be happy to answer any questions board members might have. No? Any public comment? All righty. Item J, board member comments. Any closing comments?
I do. Thank you.
Yes, I wanted to report that I attended the CVAG Homeless Committee meeting on January 21st. During the meeting, we had actually walked through physical tour of the Coachella Valley Psych Hospital, Behavioral Health. It's the Acadia Hospital that is up and running. The adult side, they have one full area that's for adults over 60, and then one area that's under 60. And then the tour that we had was for their an adolescent that is yet to be open, but all of the pods look the same, so we were able to see the hospital. And they did mention that even though it's an 80-bed hospital, they are they do have plans to increase the number of beds.
Director Buxton?
Just a kind of informational and request maybe. It'd be really nice if we brought our IT guy in just to put microphones at each thing. I think you mentioned something like 2 meetings ago, Kimberly. I think I actually like having the microphone because I realize if we're not doing it, they can hear us on Zoom, but it'd be really nice to just have an IT guy make a recommendation for just little wireless ones. I don't know if that's something we can do or not, but
At least one per every two.
I mean, I guess I can share. I like to hold it, but that's something we can look at. I think we have the finance for it, so.
I'll consider in our next one.
Is that consensus?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you. I just want to make a couple comments on what was talked about in public comments, because I've been seeing a lot of online chatter about the qualifications and character of Director Smith. And we thoroughly vet these candidates. Everybody knew that. They're required to do resumes. They go through an interview process. Anise has been very candid about her lived experience. And I think that's what attracted a lot of us to her serving on this board. And I really find it disturbing for someone to come in a public forum like this and disparage a member of the board, especially with unfounded and just spewing hate. And that was mild compared to what's online.
Wow.
Luckily, he doesn't get a lot of traffic. So you're more than welcome with this board, and you're more than qualified to be on this board.
I think that.
Thank you. Already with that, we're gonna go ahead and adjourn and we'll be back in 5 minutes for our foundation meeting. Thank you.